I'm Skylar Byrne, and this is my Capstone Project. So the first project we did was the letter project. So this is my letter to parents, introducing them to my class and who I am as a teacher. I set it up this way so that it was more formal. I also tried to pick fonts that kind of made that tone come out. In order to make it more engaging for the students, because my audience was third grade students and their parents, I tried to use bold letters and the watermark in the back. When I scroll down to the newsletter where it talks about how I'm gonna use technology in my classroom, I tried to use brighter pictures and colors for the pictures that correlated to the technologies I was using, and then the descriptions are more for the parents. I really liked the way I incorporated the different letters. I think that the different fonts for just a couple words really draws your eyes to the text. I like the watermark, but if I could change anything, I would definitely make it less transparent so you could see it more. I also really liked the way I changed the font so it looked like it was my signature, and the way I included Bitmojis so that they were engaging for the younger students, and so that it was a face to put to me but not a picture of me. I would also change the way that I set up the table for how I would use the technologies. I would separate it so that the pictures weren't right next to them, so they'd be a little bit bigger, and maybe make them more fun, like pop up. Just kidding, it's a newsletter, I wouldn't make them pop up, but I would definitely make them bigger so you could see them a lot better. Overall, I really enjoyed this project, and I liked getting used to how I could make it more for an audience that was younger. Awesome. Okay, my second project was the Excel project. Sorry, I'm having issues getting it to scroll up. There we go. Okay, so for this, I had never used Excel in my life before, and so it was an adjustment getting used to how the program worked, but I really liked how I could use the formulas, and the way I tried to set it up was so it was engaging at the top, but really broke down my budget for how I would spend that $1,000 that was provided to me. I liked how easy the table was to set up, but I really struggled with how to use the formula. I ended up just calculating it all on my phone. So if I could change anything, I would spend more time on learning exactly how to use the program, because I think that's a really cool feature. And later I read more about it in the textbook and the PowerPoints, and it seemed pretty easy. So I think one thing I would do is really learn and focus on how to do that. What I liked is that you could add pictures. I guess I never knew you could add pictures to an Excel spreadsheet because I was unfamiliar with the program. If I could change anything, I would most definitely change how they are. I don't really think the top of it is visually appealing and balanced like I thought it would be. I do like that I included pictures because I think that it is catching to your eye, but I would definitely change how I set it up. Awesome. This is my third project, which is the PowerPoint. I really enjoyed this. I set it up so that it was very catching for little kids. So if I was doing this to third grade, first grade, second grade, the younger ages that I want to be teaching, it would have to be really bright, colorful, and I knew that, and things would have to be moving and stuff in order to keep people focused. And so I really played with that in shapes and colors and tried to make it as engaging as possible. I really liked the use of Bitmojis through the entire course, but really in this project because I think it gave it a lot of personality. I would change the font I used and I would make it fit better. Here on the computer it fits, but when it's projected it doesn't, and I think I would work on, again, the balance is something I was struggling with and learning. I would change the font so it was just a little bit like a similar font, but a little bit less, just so it was easier to read. I added animations and pop-ins of Bitmojis to make it, you know, more fun. I really liked playing with the transitions. That was something that was fun and I think will help me in the future a lot. I would change my background because it kind of makes me get lost because the lines are so little, it becomes a little bit distracting. Again, another animation, I really like doing those, learning about that. I liked my uses of colors and patterns, and I didn't know that you could do that on PowerPoint, so playing with that was really fun. I would definitely try to pick more backgrounds that went with my PowerPoint a little bit more if I could change anything, but I liked including the pictures, especially the pictures that weren't just Bitmojis, because it was a little bit different. Awesome, another example of me having fun with those. That animation was my favorite. I would not change that. I think I would change all of them to the paper airplane. Awesome. Click through this real quick. This one, I was having issues with the transparency in the background and how to make it look different than the other ones. I enjoyed this feature too, and I would use this on more backgrounds in my future. If I could change anything, I liked the way that I centered things so that it was like right to the eyes, and these were the things I'd really emphasize in a classroom when I was talking and presenting. Awesome. I set this up with the smaller pictures on the bottom so that students knew exactly what I was talking about. In a classroom setting, I would point those things out in the classroom at the same time. Awesome. I probably wouldn't use that transition again because I think it spent a lot of time on the screen trying to get off it, and I would probably use one that like spun away or something instead. Awesome. And this is the last slide. This was my very favorite. I think it is exciting and something that would really engage students and make students excited for class and to come in class. Awesome. Okay, and then here is my webpage. So this was so cool. I did not know that you could use just normal Microsoft to create a web page. So I like that I could change the background for the whole thing. I like that I used yellow. I think that kind of went with my whole theme of all my other projects and like the whole color scheme I kind of created for my class. I also like that I still included the Bitmojis and that I found different ones. I was struggling, but that was something that was fun for me and I think would be fun for the students. I decided to create it in a table to talk about me because I thought it was more visually balanced. I also decided to include most of my hyperlinks right in the table because I thought that that was a little bit different than how I had seen other web pages set up when I was like looking at other websites. I thought that I also tried to change the colors of the hyperlinks. All of them were different, and like for Michigan State, I tried to make it green, but the blue didn't really show up well for Lance Community College, so I tried to keep that in mind. I liked that I did that. I think that it made it more interesting. One thing I would change is the colors like of the link. It's all purple. At first I was able to change them, and then I changed some stuff around and I couldn't figure out how to just change that again. And so if I could go back and change something, I would change that to match the colors of the hyperlink, because it's like green and then purple, and I would just make it all green. I like that I included a Kids President video right in the middle of the webpage. I think that using the red letters for the stop scrolling makes it really interesting, and I would not change that. I wouldn't change the video either, because I think it is a really important message, and I like that I did that. What I would change is probably wouldn't use the text bubble, and I would add more personal, like more ways to reach out to me for parents if I could go back and change it. I would probably even include more like personal pages and stuff that I haven't created yet. So when I am in that teaching setting, I will definitely be using a web page like this now that I know how to make them, and I will be creating other links so that I can show more pages and other things like the school website I'm working for and stuff like that. I just don't have that yet, so I was having issues on deciding what other links to include. Okay, and then just 1 second, because I have to switch my PowerPoint. So I learned a lot over this semester while this is loading. I try to focus on the main concepts that I learned, that I will be able to like use smaller parts of that in my everyday classroom setting. Okay, and then so what I learned a lot about input devices. I did not know the difference between an input and output device in the beginning of the semester. So one specific input device I learned a lot about, and I want to incorporate in my classroom, are digital cameras. I learned how digital cameras store like how they store images. They store them on like an image media device, and how like the higher resolution, the higher file, and how you view your pictures on the LCD screen. I already was interested in the idea of digital cameras in like a younger classroom, so that when we went on field trips, they could take pictures of things that they thought were interesting, or when they learned something or big achievement, just for smaller kids to have that and be able to take those pictures and have that after. In one of the videos, you brought up a point about how these cameras are kind of going out right now, and so not everyone has them, but everyone has them at their house. And if you just send an email to students' parents asking if they could donate them, that's a very good possibility that could happen. And I loved that idea, and so I really like learning about this specific input device, because I think that I can incorporate that idea, and so every student can really learn about how to use digital media and cameras even at a young age, because that's really where the world is going now. I learned about the different types of software, the academic and all sorts of, I did not know the difference between freeware and shareware, which is really important as a teacher. Things are so expensive to begin with, and when you as a teacher find software that is different than like what your school is providing, and you want it, it's really important to know if it's shareware, because it's only free for a limited time. I did not know that, and that probably would have been something I would have figured out when I was trying to download software. So I think that was extremely important. And freeware is so you don't have to buy it, it's actually free. And that's definitely what I'll be looking for when I'm finding software for my classroom that isn't academic software provided by the school. And so that's something I'm gonna incorporate into my everyday life as a teacher. Visual communication is something that I thought was so important, and I was learning throughout the class without really knowing what it was, and that's like the balance and the pictures and text and audio and animation of like of visuals like a PowerPoint or graphics or even worksheets you're creating. And I think that is so important, especially with younger students, because if it is just like a blank, like a paper just with one like Times New Roman font, and that's like you're asking questions all in that, for a third grader, first grader, kindergartner, that's going to be very boring and not as engaging and not make them want to do it as much. But if it's something that's super exciting and the PowerPoint's exciting and it has balance, so you're not getting distracted by something that's right in the middle, then students are going to pay more attention. Because I know, just me as like a consumer and a person, like when I'm scrolling on Facebook, I'm looking for something that is bright and balanced. If it's just one big thing, I'm going to scroll past it. And so I'm going to incorporate this every single day in my classroom and try to make not only like PowerPoints visually appealing, but even like posters in my classroom visually balanced and exciting, so that every little bit of education I have in my classroom is being absorbed and it's an encouraging, fun environment. And thank you for a great semester. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.